You haven't watched Spider-Man yet, right?
No,
Oh.
I will watch it next Tuesday.
Well, I was
It
just
comes out
I was gonna tell
on
you a
DVD.
spoiler. Batman shows up in the end. Welcome back to the show. My name is Damien. As always, I am joined by Galactic Mr. E, aka Mr. E, aka E.
Ah, that's me.
In the last one, you were like, "Why do you always forget that part of the video? My part of my name."
Look, I understand now.
We are back with another episode of the Cool Comic Show. Um, First off, thank you everyone who has supported the first few videos. I know they were pretty long. I mean, the first one was like 30 minutes. The next one was like an hour and a half almost, and the next one was an hour. And I remember in that first video, we are like, we're going to try to make these 30, 35 minutes. And, we were talking over each other, and I was slurring my words and talking too fast. But with all that, you guys have shown a lot of love, and we just got our 40th subscriber today. Earlier I got the email for it, so thank you guys for
Let's
40.
go.
Once we get to 100, we'll be able to get that custom YouTube URL. Be on the
Mhm.
lookout for youtube.com/slash two hot dudes. That'll be coming your way
Yes,
soon.
yes. Two hot ball dudes.
Hell
Yes.
yeah. But on today's episode, we got a couple of things to talk about. Across movies, books, games, and I don't know why I was gonna say music videos. Like I don't know why it was the first thing that came to mind.
Yes. Wonder Woman the Stallion just
All
dropped.
right.
Body yada 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 yada.
But speaking of Wonder Woman, our first topic for
Oh.
today is going to be something that E actually has a little bit more to talk about than I do because he's been reading. An
Hmm.
current ongoing event right now in DC Comics called Trial of the Amazons.
Let's
Uh,
go.
E, do you want to give a little background onto what it is and kind of what's happening right now with all of that?
Sure. Okay. So, this is the first Wonder Woman crossover event in about 30 years. 30
Has it been
years.
30?
30 years.
Is it really?
It has. It's the first Wonder Woman crossover event in 30 years.
Dang.
And it's being written by Michael W. Conrad and Becky Cloonan. I am enjoying the story so far. So, to kind of set up the event, they've been setting it up since around October, maybe even earlier than that. But at the end of the death metal event, Wonder Woman actually died. So she's been dead in the comic books for a while now. And so when Wonder Woman died, her mother Hippolyta took her place in the Justice League. And Hippolyta was the queen of Amazon. So when Hippolyta left, they had to get a new queen. And the new queen turned out to be Nubia, who
Shout out.
was, shout out Nubia, who I hope does not disappear after all this goes away, because she's
I don't
finally
think
getting
she
her
will.
moment in the sun. She's been around for years, but she's really just kind of been a background character who they sort of mention every once in a while. But Nubia was actually the first champion before Wonder Woman. A little more on that in a second. But
Who just
so
had her
Nubia,
anniversary debut in January. She first
exactly.
debuted in Wonder Woman 204 in January 1973.
Yeah, she's been around for a hot minute, but she's finally getting her own arcs, and I'm so here for it. But she is the new queen, and so Nubia was the champion guarding Doom's doorway, which is this portal to Hades that the Amazons have to keep guard of because, Greek gods, whatever. So since Nubia left her post at Doom's doorway, the trial of the Amazons is to pick a new champion to guard Doom's doorway. And so this kind of sets up. We have the Themyscirians, who are the Amazons that everyone knows. Then we have the Bana Migdal, who are the Egyptian Amazons, and they usually have this kind of like civil war, will they, won't they fight, kind of
Are they
relationship with the with the Amazons.
are they set up like in
So
the Sahara? No, I guess it's because they're in Egypt, right?
yeah, they're in
Okay.
Egypt. So they want to. have a Banner McDowell champion, so they can come out of exile. They can reap the benefits of being Amazons, because like most of the Amazons in that faction, they don't have like the immortality. They don't have the gifts from the gods. They're just
Mhm.
out here dying in the desert. So they want what the Themyscirians have. And then there's a third faction, which was recently founded. Shout out to Yara Floor.
Young Yara, the god. I love her so much.
Yes, she is the Amazon. They're the Amazons of the Amazon
Yeah,
down in
Amazon.
Brazil. So they're
Brazil.
actually they're actually the Lost faction, and their names. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but they're the Esquisita, which
Oh, I love
literally.
your Spanish. Or I guess it's portuguese, technically.
Oh, I don't know what any of this means. But so they were the Lost faction, and they're now found, and so they want a seat at the table as well,
Hmm.
and so this trial is to choose the
Who's gonna
next
be the
champion,
champion? Okay.
and yeah, so all of the factions are choosing their champion,
Hmm.
and so I think it's really neat what they're doing, and
It's
they kind of played with their readers' emotions a bit, because there's the previous Wonder Girls, Donna Troy and Cassie. They don't really get a lot. Well, Cassie gets
I
a
was
lot of
just gonna
love.
ask, does Donna and Cassie, do they show up at all, or have they shown up at all so far in this?
They've Cassie has had more of a significant role than Donna, which
Okay.
is par for the course.
I mean, I'm
Um,
a Donna fan myself,
I'm a
but
Donna fan too,
yeah.
and her the way they like her reveal in the story was pretty freaking solid.
Okay.
But I feel like DC never really knows what to do with Donna Troy,
Yeah,
which
because
is
like, I mean, there's the whole. I mean, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there about like explaining Donna's backstory because it's been so
it's
many like different.
always retconned.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it sounds cool, and like
Mhm.
I was telling E this the other day, where I want to read it because Wonder Woman is my favorite character, but for
Mhm.
me, when I read stories, I'm the kind of person where I I like to read mostly trade paperbacks. Like all the books that
Yeah.
I have are all collected because I like to read it all one way through. For me, it's kind of hard to read something and like wait for the next one to come out, which
Mhm.
you would think that would translate to like movies and TVs that have their weekly releases. Like those ones, I'm fine watching watching weekly. But when I read something, like I want to read it all together. So I haven't read this yet, and I'm definitely something I am gonna want to read. But E is reading it right now, and
Yeah.
based on what you're describing, because I haven't looked into it too much, I was like, I'll just look at it when I read it.
Yeah.
It sounds dope. And
Oh yeah.
do we
It's
know how many
definitely
parts? Is it just,
it's 7 parts.
and then
So
are there tie-in books too? I'm assuming.
there are tie-in books. So they have in the back of Wonder Woman's, I think it's leading up to the event. I think it's about 3 or 4 comics uh, in the Wonder Woman line. They have like this 5-page spread in the back of the comic, kind of leading up,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's kind of telling you the story of
Oh, this
the Bonnie
checklist.
McDowell. Yeah, it's telling the story of Bonnie McDowell and why they want to take part in this, and
Oh,
it
okay.
also sets up some other storylines that you'll find out when you start reading it.
Hmm.
You're like reintroduced to some characters like Artemis, um,
I like Artemis too.
and then Wonder Woman's Yara Flor's Wonder Woman. Her line, and I messaged you this previously that
Yeah,
I feel like they rushed her storyline so they could get
get her
out,
in
they
here.
could get her in here before this event. Um, it's a beautiful, beautiful comic.
Hmm.
But
You said
the
it's called Wonder
storyline
Girl,
was
right?
just it's called Wonder Woman.
Oh,
So
Wonder
the
Woman.
she does take the Wonder Woman
Okay.
moniker because she's also the Wonder Woman in Future State as
Oh,
well.
that's true. Yeah,
But
I feel like her popularity kind of took people by surprise. Like they announced her
mhm,
show before her comic even came out. Like that was
true.
yeah.
Which RIP to that.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly glad the CW did not touch it
Yeah.
after reading the comments, because she's got a lot of course, hers is more of Brazilian
Hmm.
god lore, and she also has like a pet Pegasus, which I don't know why she named it Jerry, but she did.
After Jerry Seinfeld, of course, she's a big fan.
I'm a big fan. Dude.
But yeah, there's like I'm looking at this schedule right now. It looks like
Hmm.
Nubia and the Amazons just came out what last week it looks like. And
Hmm.
then this week was Wonder Woman number 785 came out, which is part 3 of
Yes, that just came out today.
Trial of the Amazons, and then next week will
Hmm.
be just called it'll be Wonder Girl number 1, Trial of the Amazons part 4. That'll be
Hmm.
focused on Yara it looks like. And then
Yeah.
part 5 will be coming out April 12th, Wonder Woman number 786, which is part 5. Part 6 is Wonder Girl number 2, which comes out in April 19th, and it looks like the finale is Trial of the Amazons number 2, part 7,
Mhm.
due out April 26th, 2022. So that kind of
Yeah.
lines up with the Death of the Justice League and Dark Crisis coming out and everything in April.
Mhm. And
So,
the way they're setting it up, this story will definitely have lasting effects across
effects.
DC,
Yeah.
so it could definitely bleed into that
Mhm.
storyline. Because, like I said, the whole purpose of the arc is the trial of the Amazons to
Yeah.
pick this new protector of Doom's doorway. And the reason they're doing this is because nobody's really at the post
Yeah.
right now, and some things have slipped through.
Hmm.
And that was Nubia's book leading up to this. That was one of the big plot points, is because Nubia's big rogue is Medusa. Like
Hmm.
she is known for putting Medusa in Hades, and Medusa escaped. So that was the whole plot of that book, and kind of Nubia's transcendence into queen, and how she handled the situation was really good.
Hmm.
And then
Well,
there
I
was a
mean, I was to say there's a lot already happening with this.
yeah,
Um, go
there's
ahead.
another plot point. I don't want to give any spoilers for anyone planning on reading it, but there is a bigger plot point than the trial of the Amazons,
Hmm.
going on in the book right now, which will have lasting implications in the DC universe, I believe.
Yeah. So go check them out. The first what 3 parts are out already.
Hmm.
Part 1, 2, and 3. Like I said, part 1 was just called Trial of the Amazons number 1. It came out the start of March, and then Nubia and the Amazons came out second week of March, and then Wonder Woman just came out this week. So keep an eye out for that. I think there's a lot of books I feel like that are coming to a head at the end of April, of course, leading into Dark Crisis. I love the Wonder Fam. They're like I said, Wonder Woman's my favorite. I became a big fan of Yara, like kind of how everyone else, where I was just like, oh, I love her design. She's Brazilian.
Yeah,
Like I love her right
she's got
away.
she's got
Yeah.
a fantastic design,
Nubia's
and like I
always been
said,
cool. Donna,
the
I'm a big fan
stories
of.
there I feel like after this event, after they have more time to kind of flesh her
Mhm.
character out, she's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. And
Just
I would
that
be happy with
initial,
her taking over like the Wonder Woman role if Diana does
Mhm.
die or just completely disappears or whatever.
Yeah,
I know
and
people are
it's
gonna want. I mean, Nubia, I feel like is good as a queen of the Amazons and being
yeah,
set there.
and they're going. I think they're definitely going to keep Nubia as queen.
Yeah.
I don't think because a plot we'll get to in a minute.
Mhm.
DC announced their Pride line, for
Yes.
coming up stories in June, and
Mhm.
Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, was one of those slates.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't,
we could jump right to
I,
that because it's just a quick mention.
yeah, true.
DC and Marvel. But DC did announce their Pride Month run for this year and coming out in June. They had one last year for the first time. I want to say like I'm assuming that they had LGBT books for Pride Month before, but last year was
Hmm.
the first time they had like a dedicated like these are our Pride books. And it
Yeah.
was really good. I read it. I picked it up. I bought or borrowed it from someone who had bought it, and it
Hmm.
was an anthology. Like it was a bunch of short stories collected. So they announced their new one today, coming out this year. I think they just had the cover come out and a couple of like each character. It was actually someone pointed out interestingly enough that they had a character from each of the major like families in the DC universe, so like the Bat
Yeah.
family, Wonder Woman family, and everything like that. And then on the other side of that, Marvel also announced their I believe it's called Voices, which is their
Yeah.
Pride line as
Voices.
well. I don't know if they had one last year, right? It was
They
Voices and
did. It was
yeah.
also Marvel's first year doing it last year
Okay,
as
yeah.
well.
So
So I'm really excited about that, and Marvel and DC have has both companies have been doing really well,
Yeah.
um, including
Hmm.
LGBTQIA plus characters in their lines. Um, I'm really excited to kind of see their spotlights. Two of my favorite Marvel characters right now are Wiccan and Hulkling. So
Hmm.
I'm really excited to see
Yeah.
them, on the cover, and excited to see what even if it is, like a one shot. Excited to see
Yeah.
what they do with it.
Because
And then on
even with their one shots last year, like they kind of spun out some of those characters into their own line. Like Jackson
True.
Hyde got his own line, and
Yeah, and they
Donovan Cat
actually
and stuff.
created a original character for the Pride Month, and I
Mm.
think they're doing the same thing this year as well.
Yeah.
Um, and that character that they created, I'm spacing on his name right now,
Mm.
but they went on to feature in a lot of other stories as well. So
Nice.
hopefully the same trend continues, and people enjoy the new character that Marvel brings out this year.
Yeah.
And like
So
you said, DC has
they have a lot. There
they
was
have a lot.
there was a lot of cool
Uh,
variant covers that came out of that one last year too. I
hmm
guess I didn't look at the Marvel one, but I'm assuming they had some cool covers. But there was that cool Nightwing. I know Nightwing isn't part of that community, but they did it for
hmm
every like ongoing line they had last year, and Nightwing had a really cool one. And there was just
Yeah.
Poison Ivy and Harley had a good one. There was a lot of good ones that came out of it.
Yeah, true, true. And DC, they've really had a big year of like you said, these announcements of these characters that
Mm-hmm.
are part of these main families coming out. You have Superman, son of Kal-El,
John Kent,
came out as bi. You have Tim
Tim
Drake is
Drake.
bi. Nubia, I don't know if she's lesbian or bisexual, but she
Yeah.
definitely has a girlfriend in the comic
Mm-hmm.
books.
What?
And like I said, she will be part of the line as
Yeah.
well.
Ivy and
And
Harley, of
then
course, always.
Ivy and Harley, of course, a mainstay now.
Yeah.
And
The
then also,
one of the
I'm
newer
not
Green
familiar
Lanterns too.
with the Flash character
Is it the
that
Flash that was in Future State?
I believe that it is because it's like a multiverse book,
Oh,
so it's
okay.
not gonna. I think it's gonna be a Flash from a different Earth, but they are bringing that character
Yeah,
back.
because that Flash was
Um,
Jesse Chambers, and they're non-binary. But I
okay.
know people were at least right after Future State came out, people were a little bit upset because they didn't really do anything with Jesse and kind of just was
Uh,
there. So I'll
mm,
be curious to see if they bring him back. But with Pride Month getting closer, I'm sure we'll get more details about it. I think they just announced like, hey, we're doing another one. Here's the covers and
yeah.
stuff like that. So, but you mentioned like
Okay.
the Marvel side, and funny enough, like of course, before we even started like recording for this show, I was already kind of following DC Comics like news and stuff like that. And I realized I was like, oh, I should follow the Marvel Twitter accounts and stuff so I can see when new comics are coming out. Because I mean, of course, we talked about Marvel before, but it's good for us to keep
Mhm.
up to track. So sticking
Yeah.
on the Marvel side, some big news this week. The Miss Marvel trailer. So I actually just watched it like right before we recorded this.
Nice.
Um, I overall I thought it was cool. It looked like a fun time.
hmm
Um, I do think it's interesting that they're changing her powers. However, I thought about it and I was like, I don't know if her original powers would translate well to live action. Like I think it would look
Well,
weird.
here's my brainchild,
But overall,
and
overall the trailer
on
was cool. It looked fun.
yeah, it did, and I like that they kept her nerdiness. Her
Yeah.
nerdiness,
Hmm.
one of her quirks, I guess, for lack of a better term, is that she is a Avengers fanfic writer.
Yeah.
Um,
Super
so
fan.
I've hoped to see some of that. You definitely get her fangirling for
Captain
Captain
Marvel.
Marvel. But I hope like the rest of that comes through as well. I hope they don't change her story too much. But the reason I feel like they changed her power is because Marvel. Everyone has been hounding Marvel for this Fantastic Four story
Yep.
for years,
Yeah, I was just
and I
thinking
feel
that.
like we're getting close to some sort of announcement. Um, so her powers, even though they are
I'll
different
say
from Reed
they're a little
Richards.
bit different, but this people would just be like, oh, it's stretchy powers.
Exactly, exactly. So I feel like they made her a more cosmic version of her
Yeah.
powers to tie her even further to Carol Danvers because she's also going to be in the
The
Marvels
Marvels.
coming
I
out
was gonna say it also ties
next
her
year.
closer to Monica Rambeau as well.
Hmm.
Like it kind
True,
of all their
true.
powers. Because if you
Hmm.
remember when they announced, they called the Marvels, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the
Um,
Marvels coming out
it
in
has
23.
Miss Marvel's logo. It has Captain Marvel's logo, and it has I forgot what her superhero name is. I don't know if you know. I think it was not Photon. It's
Who,
something like
Monica?
Monica's. Yeah, but it had
Um,
her logo in there as well.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like you said, that's why they gave her a more cosmic feel with her
Yeah,
powers. Because you still get the big fist. You saw the
yeah.
big fist. It was giving Green Lantern
Yeah,
more than
that's
more
what
than
people.
Miss
That's what
Marvel,
I saw a
but
lot of people saying. Is like this is she basically kind of has Green Lantern powers now, which
basic.
is we could talk all day about Green Lantern and what should be happening with those characters in movies and TV. But this Green Lantern show, who knows when that's coming out? The Green Lantern
I
movie,
mean,
who knows when that's coming out?
we can segue right into.
Well, right before we segue to that, but one thing I did want to say, one more thing I wanted to say about Miss Marvel is I did like how at the beginning of the trailer, you watched the trailer, right?
Yes.
At the beginning of the trailer, it kind of had it like comic booky, like Scott Pilgrim in a way, where there was like the
Yeah.
stuff like that. Something
Mm.
that I was thinking about, and I saw people talking about it, is when Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out. It was surprising that there weren't more other comic book companies who like greenlit big budget animated type comic book movies.
Yeah.
Like that one did so well. And so what I'm
Hmm.
hoping is like, with Into the Spider-Verse, with Doctor Strange, maybe there's going to be animated stuff in there. And now with Miss Marvel, I hope between DC and Marvel and any other comic book company, um,
Hmm.
they implement more comic book effects into the movie, whether it's live
Yeah.
action or animated. I think it fits really well, and it of course, it just makes it more comic booky. And I think
Yeah.
with Miss Marvel, it fit the tone really well based on the trailer, and whoever edited that trailer
Mm.
did a fucking amazing job. I wish I could
They
edit that
really
well.
did. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
of course, some movies it wouldn't like if you went to go watch the Batman for 3 hours and you
It
saw
it
some
depends
like
on the tone.
you would see some
Yeah, it
speech
definitely
bubbles, you're like,
depends
all
on the
right,
tone.
like so. But yes, if with her Green Lantern powers, it just reminded me of like, man, there's a lot of things that we talked about this before on this show. The potential that DC has to do some cool shit and they just don't.
It
Um,
just
so with
they
this,
don't know what to
her
want to
having
do.
not Green Lantern powers, Green Lantern was a show that was announced on HBO Max 2 years
After
ago.
the movie got canceled, well,
Well,
disappeared.
that's
I
the
don't know
thing. The
if it was
movie
canceled.
right now, I think what the status is the movie is supposed to still happen with Hal and John Stewart, right?
Okay.
And
Okay. And
the
then the show
show
is
is going
Green
to be
Lantern Corps.
all the other Green
Yeah.
Lanterns. But
Gotcha.
there's
Gotcha.
been no news. There's been no
Ugh.
casting. There's been nothing.
Honestly,
Um,
I lost interest the moment they said Guy Gardner was going to be the star dog.
but
It's
hey,
my
we did
least
get
favorite Green Lantern.
Green
Green Lantern.
Lantern. We did get a Kite Man at show announced for HBO
Oh,
Max. We
true. I
got
mean, we
Kite
can
Man
go
to go
ahead
along with
and
your Batmobile TV show.
And I like I read up on the Kite Man stuff a little bit
Yeah.
as we segue into these HBO Max
Yes, HBO Max.
mentions. Kite Man is supposed to be like the Cheers of villains.
Yeah.
Um, I
But see, it's
I
specifically
really
the Harley Quinn show version. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's specifically the Harley Quinn show version, so we're probably going to see more familiar, maybe some more unknown villains as well,
Yeah.
like
Which
Kite
the Harley
Man.
Harley Quinn show is great, by the way. Well,
It is. It
season
really
four
is.
or
It's
was it season
funny.
3? Right?
It's coming eventually.
Or
They
is it
announced it at DC Fandom,
is
but
it season
they
3 or
didn't.
season 4?
It's season 3.
Okay, yeah. So season 3,
Um,
whenever that comes out.
but like I'll probably give it a chance because I do enjoy Harley Quinn. I
Oh yeah, of
do enjoy the
course.
comedy in that show. But it's like, why?
I
Who?
I said this from the very first episode. As much as I want so many great things for DC, when they come out with a
Mm,
show like the Batmobile show or the Kite Man show, it's like fuck. Well, I'm
or
gonna watch
Peacemaker.
it, but
Right. I'm gonna give it a chance, but
yeah.
like you're playing with my emotions.
But
Where is Zatanna?
yeah,
Because
yeah. Zatanna is
she didn't
supposed to
give it
be
even get a spotlight in her own arc.
Zatanna's supposed to get her show. But speaking of Zatanna's arc, Young Justice, we got the release date. I don't know if we had that the last time we recorded, but
We
that's
did
coming
not.
out. What was it? March 31st.
March 31st.
March
Yes,
31st, we figured out when they consider spring. That was a question we had last time.
this is true.
Um, and they, based on that poster, because like they've released like a poster for each arc. This
Mhm.
next one's going to be Aqualad's arc, which I'm
Yes,
actually very interested in because last
I
we
am
left
too.
off, he stepped down as like the leader of the Justice League, and they
Hmm.
made Black Lightning the leader.
Yeah.
But that jump between season 2 and 3 when he became no, it was 3 and 4. What season are we in for Young Justice? Season 5?
No, we're on 4.
Are we on 4? So
Yeah,
he became Aquaman in season 3, right?
this is season 4,
Okay.
part 2.
So with him becoming Aquaman in season 3, that's when it happened, right?
Hmm.
That was a pretty significant jump, and
Yes.
it was like a year or 2 years, whenever. But I'll be curious to see kind of how. I mean, he made the most sense out of everyone that he was going to take the next step and fill into his mentor's role because King Oren, like, he wanted to be king of Atlantis and do his thing.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens with this arc. We'll probably see Satana again at the last episode for 30 seconds, but Young Justice is coming back, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for it to come back. I'm excited to see. It looks like it's going to be taking place in Atlantis because I saw Mira
Yeah,
on the poster as well. Which Mira, shout out, she's a
shout
goddess.
out.
I love her. Um,
I wonder if we'll get Arthur Jr. or Artur
but
Jr.
possibly, but like I'm excited. I hope he gets more screen time than Zatanna did in her arc,
Yeah,
and I really just want them to start tying these things together because I know
yeah,
these are supposed to be like kind of like arcs,
yeah.
but there is an overarching story.
That's what I was saying. We
Um,
talked about this last time. I feel
yeah,
like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's not really any like reoccurring threat. I feel like right now, like there's not
no,
really anything building up. I guess
there's not, and but there are so many loose ends that
there's a lot.
it has to come back
Yeah,
together. Because if it doesn't, the way I am going to be so pissed off about this whole season, you
it's
like,
yeah.
I,
We'll
I'm
see what
waiting
happens.
patiently, and I have faith that they're going to bring it back. But like, also, DC has let me down in the past, so
Yeah,
like,
which I
I'm
guess
just.
this is a good time to not really announce it, but talk about. Um, this wasn't our list of topics, but we did talk about this last episode. Moon Knight is coming out at the end of this month as well, and
Mhm.
so what we want. This is the plan right now. Of course, things may change. What we want to do is like, of course, we'll have a regular like weekly, bi-weekly regular show, but we also want to do a dedicated like quick 10-15 minute recording of like whatever that week's episode is. So we'll do
Yeah.
a recording for Moon Knight, we'll do a recording for Young Justice and talk about that episode and go into that. So you guys can be on the lookout for that outside of a regular kind of
And
thing.
you could also be a part of it.
One lucky winner will be but
Just pay
yes,
me
that
$5 and I'll.
but yes, that'll be coming down the pipeline. So yeah, Young Justice coming back, Kite Man show's coming out, and I did put a note in this in our last recording. Between the last recording and this one, they did announce the Penguin HBO Max show, which I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I'm looking forward to this because he was really funny
Yeah,
in the Batman,
he
and
was really funny. He did really good, and honestly, I couldn't even tell it was Colin Farrell while I was sitting
yeah,
there watching him on the screen.
he had so many
Uh,
funny scenes. It was like,
he did, and I feel like um, we already know like the setup from the story
yeah,
based on the events of the movie. It's going
hmm
to be about Penguin rising through the ranks, filling that crime gap
yep.
that the events of the movie left. So
Like I,
I'm really excited.
yeah,
They tried to do something like that in Gotham, the TV show, but that
yeah.
was
That's
a train wreck.
I'll never forget that because I never really watched Gotham, but I remember when the series finale came out and I just saw that screenshot of him in the bat suit. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
good.
Yeah.
But I mean,
We'll.
when the Penguin show got announced, I was like, this makes sense more than Peacemaker made sense being announced. But
Honestly,
hey,
true.
you know what? People are gonna like what they like. If people
And
love
I wonder
Peacemaker,
if
you can love
they're
it
going to
too.
keep up this trend of, doing a movie and then doing
I
a
would
spin-off
love,
series of it.
I would love if they do this, but
Mm,
at the same time, don't forget there's what 4 HBO Max shows that are supposed to be coming out for DC before Penguin
true,
got
true.
announced. So
Also very true. And a
Well,
Wonder Woman video game that will be coming in the year
I
2027.
told you every time we talk about that, the game is gonna add another month till it comes out.
So I'm going to talk about it every show.
So that's HBO
I'm
Max
s-
news. I said I
uh,
was gonna give Peacemaker a chance. I may do that in between Young Justice and Moon Knight and Miss Marvel and all this other stuff coming out, but we'll see.
okay, so like never.
Um, but speaking of other TV shows, I got another trailer. The Boys season 3 trailer also came out this week.
The
There's a lot that
boys.
came out. Talking about
Oh
that
my
really quickly,
gosh.
because they didn't really give it much like story stuff, because obviously it's just The Boys.
Yeah.
It looked fucking
Mhm.
dope. I love The
It
Boys.
did.
The first 2 seasons, I was a big fan of them. Um, I at the time when they were coming out, obviously we were recording this show, but the people I
Mhm.
talked about the show with, the thing that I very much loved about The Boys, even going back to its comics roots, is it is very much obviously a lot of inspirations of the Justice League. I mean, it's the seven they call them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Homelander, Superman parallels and stuff. I just
Mhm.
loved the
It's
like the discussion or just really the impact of seeing, okay, what if the Justice League actually existed in the real world? Like, of course they
yeah.
would be controlled by corporations and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
The Boys is so
It's
fucking good,
just
dude.
superheroes behaving badly. And
It's
honestly, I
so
love it
good.
because, you know, the superhero market went from non existent to oversaturated
Hmm.
very fast. And like, I think The Boys does a good job of kind of being a superhero show,
Yeah,
but turning it over on its head.
yeah.
And even though that the teaser trailer was super fast, it did make me very excited for
Hmm.
the next season, especially once I started remembering how the
I'm
last
gonna,
season.
yeah, I'm gonna have to
Uh,
rewatch. Did they put a release date on there?
it will be in June, I
Is it
believe. I
also in
don't remember.
June?
I want to say June 3rd, but I think June 3rd might be the date of something else. So I'm not.
June 8th is when Miss Marvel comes out.
Uh, hold on. We both have computers.
I'm looking it up right now. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I also hope we get more Black Noir. He
Well, I believe that we will. So, I did a little. I haven't read the comics that they're based
Oh
on,
yeah,
but
I
I did
know.
do a
It
little
comes out,
digging.
yeah, June 3rd. It comes out June 3rd.
Okay, okay. So Black Noir,
But I know what you're
Butcher,
gonna say.
and
I know what you're gonna say. Not to spoil it for everyone,
mhm,
but yeah, Black Noir has a very significant role in the comics. We'll say that
yeah,
much.
I was gonna say that Black Noir, Butcher, and Homelander are kind of uh their stories intertwined.
Yes,
So
very
I
much
think
so.
we'll see more of them. But I'm also excited to see Butcher, with these powers, because
Yeah, he has like
you
Cyclops
know
powers,
Butcher
huh?
as a character, even though he has these powers, he's gonna wait to show them off until the exact right moment.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see him try to hold back all season,
Hmm.
especially since with everything going on between him and Homelander, they're going to have these interactions
Yep.
throughout the season. So it's going to be interesting to see when he finally is just like, nah, bro, we fighting. And
Yeah,
also, you got Huey left the boys last
that
season,
is true.
and he went to go work with this government official who turns out
She's a
is
soup.
a soup working,
You know,
working for.
she one of the part. There's a lot in that trailer. We can that could be its own episode, but
Hmm.
there's the one of the funny parts was when the Deep was like obviously having sex with someone, and he looks up and there's
Hmm.
an octopus or a squid like
Bro,
just busting it open.
the funniest part of the teaser trailer for me was A Train
Oh,
doing
the
the
Kylie Jenner, or
the
was
Kylie
it the
Jenner
Kendall or Kylie? I
Pepsi
don't know
ad.
which one it is, but the
Yeah,
Pepsi shit.
the
Oh my
Pepsi
god.
ad. He was stopping a
Yeah,
protest
dude,
with his Turbo Rush.
that show is
Bro,
so
I
good.
died.
There's a lot coming
Uh,
out the next because that's also that Miss Marvel's in
oh
June.
yeah.
That's in June. Young Justice the end of this month.
Hmm.
Um,
And I
Moon Knight
wouldn't
at the
be
end of this month.
surprised.
Like it's
Wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get an Umbrella Academy
oh yeah,
announcement
Umbrella
soon
Academy.
as well.
Who knows that's
Because
coming out, but
it's done filming,
yeah,
but all of the special effects in that show, it's gonna be a
yeah. And I
minute.
mean, COVID obviously
Uh,
delayed a lot of stuff, but yeah,
True. So but like with all this being announced, I cannot see Umbrella Academy season 3 not being announced
probably like
for
July maybe.
like late this summer.
Yeah, July
We will
August.
definitely get it before the end of the year, no doubt,
You know what
no
all these
doubt.
announcements mean?
Mhm.
More videos for us.
Peru, you're stuck with
But
us.
going with the
Deal
last
with it.
couple comments here, or last couple of topics here.
Mhm.
Like I said, we don't want to make this one too long. Is
Yeah.
these ones don't have as much to talk about. So a big thing, Gotham Knights actually got a release date. No news or gameplay or anything that's come out. They just had a release date. It's coming out October 25th.
October 25th. Yes.
So who knows when we'll get more? I'm assuming at E3 we'll get more gameplay or info
There's
or
Yeah, I mean, there's been a
anything.
little bit of gameplay here and there. You definitely kind of get a feel for how the characters are going to
Yeah,
be.
I want to
I
get a look at
do,
the progression system. That's what I want to see.
yeah, I do too. Well, they've talked about um, the game is going to take place in 5 different boroughs
Yeah.
under criminal faction control. But you have the open world from the
Hmm.
start. So as you level up, the bad guys level up too. But
Yeah.
there's not going to be there's no level gating. So you can go anywhere you want to as soon as you press play.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that.
I
Kind
can't
of
wait
get
to
the,
change their skins because I'm not gonna lie to you, those default skins,
they're a little rough.
uh, there's something.
But they're not bad. But like I, I definitely will play around with the cosmetics
Yes.
because they did announce that there will be customizable suits.
Yep.
There's also going to be like EXP share, so even if you choose to go
Yeah, I think it's
through
all
the game
characters,
with
right?
one character for the most
Yeah.
part, the rest of the characters still level up with them, so you don't have to worry about switching them in and out if you don't
And
want to.
hey, if things
Um,
if things go according to plan, you can watch E
mm,
and I play that game together on our Twitch channels.
true, true. It will be co-op.
Is
I
the
will be
25th?
Nightwing.
Is that
Um,
no, we're both gonna be Nightwing. Is that on the 20? Is that on a
no,
Friday? A
probably
Tuesday? Is it
a
the 25th or
Tuesday.
the 28th? Because games have been releasing on Fridays now.
It's the 25th. It's definitely October 25th. I looked at it
They're
earlier.
doing it on a Tuesday? Come on. We got jobs, dog.
Not that day.
True. True. So yes, Gotham Knights got a release date. No other news. We'll probably see more of it at E3.
Yeah.
Next on the list, back to Marvel. Deadpool 3
Mm,
announced its director. The director of Free Guy, who worked with Ryan Reynolds on Free Guy. His name
mhm.
is
It is.
no. I was gonna say James McAvoy. I don't know. That was the first thing that came up.
Ooh!
I watched Sean Levy is his name.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
watched Free Guy. I thought it was alright. Wasn't
It was
anything
okay.
too special.
See, I don't know how I feel because
I
this
mean, he might do
director,
great because with it
he
being Marvel and stuff.
I'm sure the movie is going to be fine, but I don't really the other projects he's worked on, I have not really cared for. So this is the same
Oh,
director
because he's
that's done.
Canadian. No wonder.
Oh, shout out to Felix. Um,
So he's worked on in
he's
recent
worked on the Pink
years.
Panther, the Night at the Museum trilogy,
Secret of the
um,
Tomb,
Secret of the
Date
Tomb.
Night,
Uh,
Real Steel.
so
He did with Hugh Jackson.
Date Night is really the only one out of that list that I cared for,
He did
honestly.
the Adam Project, which is that other Ryan Reynolds movie. I mean, I guess him and Ryan Reynolds are neighbors.
I guess.
That came out on Netflix recently. I haven't watched it. I heard
Ooh,
people didn't like it.
hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta
Okay.
run. Oh,
I'm all alone. He left me. So yeah, he did the Adam Project. I haven't seen it. People said they weren't the biggest fans of it. Might have to check it out. But yeah, he got announced as director. So I don't know if they actually announced a release date for Deadpool 3 at all, or even a release year. But I would assume that might be coming out in 2025. Maybe they start filming next year. So that'll be something to be on the lookout for.
all right, my bad.
I would assume that movie's coming out in 2025 at the earliest because
Mm,
I don't see them filming that movie this year, like at all. So the
yeah.
earliest they would film it would be next year. And
Mm,
Marvel's got a bunch of stuff. Like there's a bunch of movies Marvel announced that we don't have actual release dates yet for like Fantastic Four and whenever X-Men stuff comes out. And Blade, by the way. Shout out to Blade that got announced 3 years ago.
true. True. I forgot about that one.
So yeah,
Um,
Deadpool 3 director. He has some okay stuff. There's
mhm.
some good ones. Night in the Museum was actually some good movies. So
I enjoyed the first one.
first, second one was pretty good. I feel like.
It's all right. It's all right.
Um,
But like that's what I said. Like he's got good movies, and like a lot of people agree with you. A
yeah,
lot of people love his movies. I just like I don't know. There's something about the pacing of his comedy that
yeah.
just it feels very dry
I
to
guess it
me.
depends
So
on the writing too for Deadpool, because I
it
think,
does.
like, I know a lot of people didn't like Deadpool 2 as much as Deadpool 1. I
Hmm.
thought they were both good movies. I enjoyed them. I actually watched
Yeah.
Deadpool 2 by myself, I want to say, I think when it came out, because I think the people I was gonna watch it with couldn't watch it till like Sunday. I was like, I'm just gonna go on a Friday and watch or something like that. So yeah, Deadpool 3 coming out in, what comes out? We're gonna add to our list every time. What's gonna come out first? Wonder Woman game, uh, X-Men movie, Deadpool 3,
Green
uh,
Lantern.
the Green Lantern, Zatanna's TV show. Let's,
uh, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
oh god, don't even remind me.
Any DC movie.
Anything. Um, Last two topics here is, speaking of movies and DC
uh,
movies, huge, huge news got dropped
Huge
last
news.
week. DC is delaying all of their movies.
Every
Every movie that's
single
ever been ever
one of
done,
them.
except you got to give them their credit, Shazam 2.
Yay.
So
I
look,
will say,
so
I like Zachary Levi
yeah,
as Shazam.
I like the Shazam as well. So looking at this real
Hmm.
quick, Black Adam got pushed from this July to October, which is not that big of a push.
Yo,
It's still this year.
shout out to The Rock being in the Super Bowl to promote this movie, and then they
Yeah,
pushed
pushed
it.
it back. So that movie got pushed from July to October. The
Mhm.
Flash got pushed from November to June of next year. And now I sent this thing recently. I want to pull it up on screen. So
Mhm.
here are all the release date the Flash has ever had: March 23rd, 2018, March 16th,
uh,
2018. No updates for 2019, 2020, 21 because of pandemic.
mhm.
July 1st, 2022, June 3rd, 2022, November 6th, 2022, June 23rd, 2023. So by the time that movie comes out, Flashpoint 3 is probably going to be out in the comics. So
Jesus, probably.
that got pushed to next
Uh,
summer. Aquaman was going
uh,
to be this December. That got pushed to March of next year.
mhm.
Everyone's favorite DC movie, I don't know why this is in this list, Wonka got pushed from March
Put
of
that there.
2023 to December 2023. And then lastly, Shazam was originally going to release next June. That one got pushed
Mhm.
up to this December. So it got pushed up
December.
6 months.
Mhm. Yes.
So the funny
The
part
only
about
movie that
this,
was ready.
like a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, DC released a trailer that said 20, it was all about 2022 and heroes in 2022, and it had the
They sure
Batman, and it
did.
had the Flash and Aquaman and Black
Mhm.
Adam, and now it's just going to be the Batman and Black Adam. So this is what, this goes back to what we talked about in a previous episode of, like, the way that they're handling these things. We see the potential with these characters, and we know the potential, and we want them to do
Mhm.
well, but they just keep throwing shit everywhere, and it's like,
True.
just have someone in charge to figure this out. I know it's way above my pay grade in figuring that out, and I'm not smart enough to do all that stuff. But when you do these kind of stuff and moving things around, especially with a movie like The Flash, and now moving Aquaman, which was your last $1 billion movie, granted the Batman may get there, it's just for the general movie going audience, it may turn them off to this kind of stuff because you keep moving
Yeah.
everything around, you know. So
Yeah, because like let's say these movies do come out and they're a hit, and you announce a sequel, no one's gonna show up.
yeah, because like, when that sequel gonna come
No
out?
one's
5 years?
gonna show up. Yeah, I'm not waiting a decade for part two of an okay movie.
Put put E and I in charge of DC films. I'll
Just
just
do it.
I'll make 17 Zatanna movies and 20 Wonder Woman movies, and that's all we're gonna get.
I'll make 32 of the same.
And then lastly, speaking a little bit of Batman, Batman Beyond Neo Year got announced as a new limited series, 6 issue series, I want to say.
Hmm.
There has been Batman Beyond comics in the past, like ones
Hmm.
here and there that actually are really good, and I've read a couple of them that talk a little bit more about what happened in the years between when Bruce, like, was ending his Batman career, and then when Terry took over. But a new series got announced. The art looks dope. I think the first one comes out in the summer. Let's see. Oh, sorry, April 5th. So that's coming out in a couple weeks. It's
Yep.
being written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing.
Okay.
The
All
main
right.
thing about it is basically says Bruce Wayne is dead and Terry has to find his killer.
Mm-hmm.
I love Batman Beyond. I
I
actually
am too.
need to rewatch the original or the animated series. But it looks cool, and I know it's another Batman title, and Batman always. But
Yeah, it's another Batman title, but we also do not get a lot of Terry.
yeah,
So
that's true.
I'm excited that they're bringing the character back, especially since, like you said, Batman Beyond series was pretty important back in the day
Yeah.
for us nerds.
So yeah,
So
another one to look
I'm.
forward to when it comes out. I'll probably start reading that one when it comes out because it's only six issues. But next
Mhm.
month there's going to be a lot of stuff to read with Death of the Justice League and Dark Crisis and Free Comic Book Day and a lot of stuff. So I just wanted to
True,
include that in there because
true.
it was a big announcement. I guess
Yeah.
just to squeeze in the last couple small other comic book releases or announcements. Black Adam did get announced to have his new or a new miniseries coming out. That's going to be in June. I'm assuming
Yeah.
they were going to release that with the movie, but you know,
Things don't
um,
work out, the
so
way you want them.
that's going to come out. I think Marvel. This was a little bit older. Marvel announced a new Ant Man comic book that's coming out that they kind of a little bit of homage from the older Ant Mans. Um, so I feel like this year there's going to be a lot of interesting books coming out that are
Yeah.
outside of just their, you know, DC's regular characters, Marvel's regular characters. I
Yeah.
mean, I
And
think
I'm
next month
interested to.
that Rogues book is coming out. The Flash's the DC Black Label one. So
Yeah, yeah,
that'll be
yeah,
coming out.
yeah. I'm interested to see Black Adam's comic because he's recently kind of been in the Justice League as
He's kind of like a
well.
hero-ish kind of
Um,
now, huh? Yeah.
yeah, so it's and I like that there's been a lot of switch up over the past
Mhm.
year. You have Jonathan Kent as Superman.
Yeah.
You had Hippolyta step in as when Wonder Woman died, and Wonder Woman's back now, but now she's got to
Mhm.
deal with this whole thing
Yeah.
on Themyscira. So who knows who's going to be the actual Wonder Woman in the
Yeah.
Justice League after all this is over with. So I like that DC is kind of keeping you guessing.
Yeah.
Because even with the whole trial of the Amazon thing, like people were kind of hurt that Donna Troy wasn't
Shout out my girl Donna.
necessarily in the books leading up to it, and they were like DC, no, they forget about Donna, and then like here
In that
she
voice
is.
too.
So and I don't know, it's still ongoing, so I don't know how big of a role she'll have, but she's definitely there, and she's definitely important in the moment.
Yeah.
So shout out to DC. They definitely
Trying to
you
get away
know
from Batman.
we said they dropped the ball last year
Oh,
with Wonder Woman's
yeah, so they're
80th,
celebrating her
and
81st, you know, the
they're
iconic
celebrating her 81st in a
81st.
big way.
I mean,
Yeah,
granted,
so
again, obviously COVID made it push some of this stuff, but I'm glad there's
possible.
some non-Batman stuff coming out. So I'm looking forward to the Rogues book coming out. Wonder Woman Historia #2 next month.
Let's go.
I'm
I'm really
excited.
excited about it.
That'll
And
be lit.
if you when you do get around to reading it, I don't know if you're just going to do the trial of the Amazon story or if you're going to go
If
back
it's
and
seven
read
parts,
Nubia's and all
I'm gonna
that.
go and read each one. Yeah.
But I'm really excited for Wonder Woman Historia 2, because they do kind of hit on, more of the lore
The
of,
background.
of Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
and they show you. So apparently Nubia was the last Amazon to be born. So they're born out of this well, and Nubia
Oh
was
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
last one up until recently.
Okay.
So it's kind of I think they're going to go back and kind of show all of that and show why they have to like guard Doom's doorway
Yeah.
and this, that, and the other. So I'm very much looking forward to it, especially to see more of Hippolyta's, how she came to be,
Yeah.
because in Historia #1 she's still mortal from what I remember.
Mhm.
And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
Mhm.
Greek lore,
Yes, sir.
you know, it
So
makes me very happy.
a lot of comic books coming out, a lot of movies coming out, a lot of TV show stuff coming out. There's also a lot that's not coming out for a long time. So,
RIP.
but once
Uh,
again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting.
mhm.
There's not going to be an episode next week because one of us is going to be gone. I don't want to name any
Imagine,
names,
imagine going on vacation when we have to have a show to do.
but one of us is turning 30. So,
Oh, imagine turning 30. Couldn't be me.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. He's a cool Zoomer.
I'm a
Um,
zoomer.
but I'll be gone next week for my birthday. So the week I come back is when Moon Knight comes out.
Hmm.
So I'm assuming a bunch of news is going to come out between now and then. So what we may do is we may record an episode of just the comic show, like we're doing now, and then of course we'll record the Moon Knight separately when that comes out. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Make sure you guys then like and smash that motherfucking subscribe, or whatever the kids say.
Smash.
And we'll see you for Moon Knight.
See you then.
Okay, bye.